compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on November 22nd, 2013, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township bulletin board, mailed to the Calumet County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel-Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on UTTV Channel 2 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct this announcement made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr? Mr. Corson is absent. Mr. Sarah?
Here.
Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Palumbo?
Here.
4 members are present.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the November, what day was it? 12th meeting with the regular closed session. Second.
Okay, is there any corrections, deletions, omissions anyone is aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay. Barbara, do you have anything for us this evening?
I just have one item, and that is I just wanted to remind everyone that the township offices will be closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving and on Friday in observance of the holiday. And just wanted to remind you, if your trash collection falls on either one of those days, to hold your trash collection, your normal, regular trash until Monday, and hold your recycling for the next week. And that's all I have this evening. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel?
Nothing at this time, but we have a number of items for closed session. We have a couple personnel items, and then about a half a dozen contract negotiation items. Contracts are coming due at the end of the year.
Sounds like it could be a long evening. Paul?
Thank you. I just wanted to let the committee know I did receive one of the final sets of the beach fill plans for the Army Corps of Engineers project for review, and so they've made all their final changes. They did extend from the original beach fill project the tie-in onto the natural area consistent with beach fills that we've done in the past, so we should be all set for the beach fill coming in 2014.
Are they still anticipating sometime late spring, or?
They're anticipating being able to award a contract in late spring. However, due to the nesting bird seasons, I don't anticipate that they'll be able to do our portion of the project until late summer when the nesting season's over. And they'll work on the other 2 sections in Southern Ocean City and Sea Isle City, kind of work their way to us.
Okay.
That's all I have this evening.
Okay. Barbara?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Jay?
I have nothing other than the number 7 in the closed session motion.
Okay. Tony? We're moving right along. Ed?
Nothing to report, sir.
Yeah, there you go. I just have 2 quick things. One, I want to acknowledge the fact that the South Shore Stitchers generously gave a donation of $1,265 to our MAC fund. As you all know, we share MAC fund with Ocean City, and they have a number of fundraising events and events for the kids in an effort to try and educate them against things like drug abuse and some other kinds of other things. So that was very nice that they did that. And then just a quick report from emergency management. The truck that we received, I guess, towards the end of the beginning of the summer, our public works, namely Roy and Chris and Joe DiAugustino, have worked in getting the truck ready. I'm sure Joe did most of the repairs, but I was to acknowledge Paul, Roy, Chris, Terry Smuz, and Joe DiAugustino for their efforts, as well as Mike Jones. The truck, I believe, is ready to be painted. From what I understand, they got an outside quote, and it appears that they're going to do it in-house. I don't know if Tony can do anything about that, but It's my understanding they're going to paint this truck red, or whatever color they decide, in-house, in an effort to save some money.
I think red is a requirement. I actually think that's what it is.
Okay, so that's good news. We also have an opportunity in the future to partner with the county OEM to get another 5-ton truck, which will, I believe the county will take on the responsibilities of licensing it and insuring it. Our part of the agreement will be housed here, but we'll have to maintain it. And then after a certain amount of period of time, it will come back to the township. So that will give us ultimately 3 vehicles in the township, because Strathmere Fire Company has one as well. And now we will have 2 on the mainland. In the event of emergency or severe flooding, those trucks come in a lot of handy. So thank you to them. And again, as an effort to move on through the agenda, that's all I have. And happy Thanksgiving as well to all of you. So, Barbara, would you like to move on?
Certainly. Item number 1, under resolutions, setting the date and time of the 2014 reorganization meeting of the Township of Upper. It's a resolution, yes.
And that will be 6:30 on January the 3rd. It's a Friday.
Yes.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Windsara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 2, authorizing the execution of the NJDEP TWA1 application statements of consent form regarding 38 East Vincent Avenue, Strathmere, Block 838, Lot 11.
Move the resolution.
I'll second it, and this just memorializes the discussion we had last meeting, where we have to support the effort so that they can get their permit to do their...
Correct, and you're certifying that that it meets all the municipal ordinances and regulations, and it does.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 3, authorizing the execution of the NJDEP TWA permit for Commonwealth Avenue for Block 861, Lot 5.
Move the resolution. Second.
Same thing we just explained. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 4, appointing an official to bid at the tax sale scheduled for December 3rd, 2013.
Who will it be?
It will be Barbara Spiegel, but in the event she couldn't be there, Barbara Young will cover. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Move the resolution. Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 5, in support of a study concerning the reduction of the speed limit on County Road 667, known as Stagecoach Road.
Move the resolution. Second.
And this is, again, a discussion that we had at the last meeting, where we're going to petition the county to consider reducing the speed limit from 35 to 25 on the Stagecoach. So,
Some people complain about that.
well, you know,
It's a safety thing, you know what, it is what it is, we need to try and roll this, people have to get used to it, it's no longer...
well, like I said at the last meeting, the interesting thing is when we had 25 mile an hour speed zone posted, it wasn't enforceable, and yet it did seem to control the speed. So maybe if by lowering it even 5 miles an hour, we might even have an opportunity to at least, slow some of the traffic down there, because it is a very residential, it's it's not a highway, it's a 2-lane road where, there's a number of children that live close to the roadsides and play along there, so. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Along those lines, I think, to interrupt, we should also go through, and right on the Portion Tavern Road too, because that's a county road.
You're right.
But that would take, probably some joint work with Dennis Township, because it goes from one township.
Well, we have been working a little bit on Corson Tavern with The gentleman that lives on Caledonia and the corner of Caledonia.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That road is actually already under study. He has an engineering study
Right.
underway for that speed.
I thought it has a radar machine.
Okay, item number 6, capital budget amendment.
Hey, who's going to tell us about this?
This is required we're required to amend our capital budget because another agenda item or so down, we will be introducing an amendment to our bond ordinance, to our existing bond ordinance. So this just coincides with the bond ordinance, the changes that we're making. It actually reduces, if you look at the construction of municipal facilities, it actually reduces that line, and it increases our replaced boat ramp line to coincide with the modifications we're doing to the bond ordinance.
And this is just so we can approve the money, it doesn't mean it's spending the money.
That's correct. And this capital budget just shows that it's a plan that we have. It's a multi-year plan, so, but it just has to coincide with our bond ordinance.
This does not have trash open.
Yeah.
It does purchase,
Not the one we're looking for.
No, not the additional.
No, this is just for the other ones.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Anything you had to add to this, Daniel?
No. My understanding is it was supplied today by the auditor, frankly, in conjunction with the next ordinance introduction. He felt that the plan budget should be adjusted to reflect that modified bond. You're not authorizing any of the expenditures, it's just producing the line items.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Did we have a motion?
No. Let's make a motion.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Just for, why is this in a resolution instead of an ordinance?
Because that's what the law requires.
Okay.
Doesn't require an ordinance.
Doesn't,
Yeah, it's just a budget item, it's like a plan. It's,
the bonds are in ordinances.
yes, the bonds have special statutory requirements.
for whatever reason, the budget's always done by resolution.
Okay. Item number 7, under ordinances, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 13, 2013, and ordinance establishing salaries for the Township of Upper for the calendar year 2014.
I'll move the introduction of ordinance number 13, 2013, for the public hearing and final adoption is scheduled for the December 16th meeting.
And I'll second it. And for those in the audience, we will have that public hearing as Mr. Newman had just stated. So at this time, there is no public comment that's taken for the introduction, so. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Insera?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 8, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 15, 2013, and ordinance amending bond ordinance number 005-2013 of the Township of Upper in the County of Cape May, New Jersey, finally adopted April 8, 2013, in order to move a portion of the aggregate appropriation and a portion of the aggregate authorization from Section 3C and Section 3G to Section 3F and Section 3H respectively, to amend the description of the projects in Section 3A and Section 3C, and to amend the average useful life.
I'll move the introduction of ordinance number 15 of 2013 with the public hearing and final adoption scheduled for December 16th meeting once again. Second.
And just for the public's knowledge, again, this is an introduction, so there will not be public comment at this point, but this is not an actual expenditure. This is just moving the some of the bond lines over for some additional equipment that has been requested from Public Works and some other entities. And it's not a document, even in its final adoption, that will mean that we'll be making the expenditures. It only allows us to consider them in the future, so. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 9, under new business. Ralph Clayton requests to vacate a portion of the paper street known as Adams Avenue between 2nd Street and Mill Road in Tuckahoe.
You want to talk to us about this, Paul, please?
Yes, Mr. Clayton has an existing, there was an existing structure on the property that was burned down, so the foundation is still remaining, and there's a garage on the property. In order for him to reconstruct the property, considering it's an undersized property in the Pinelands area with 1 acre or less, he would have to build what's called one of the pilot septic plant treatment facilities, which is at a greater additional expense. So what he's looking to do is to buy additional property from the township so that he can have a conforming lot in accordance with our township rules and ordinances. So that requires actually 2 things. This agenda item, and I think the one following it. So he needs a street vacation to vacate the street between the 2 blocks, 417 and 424, and then the ability to purchase those 2 township properties as he's requested, so that it would get him the 3.2 acres that's required under the ordinance.
Well, on the street vacation, I mean, is that in any way surround the property so that it would inhibit anyone else from advancing to their property?
No, all of these properties back in here are essentially, I mean, the township owns probably 90% of all the properties. As you extend south and east from here, the property that Mr. Clayton owns and actually the property in block 424 are probably the only 2 privately owned lots in areas that the township doesn't own. And all the streets back through there are all unimproved, and as you move a little south and east of there, it actually gets into a wetland area. So there is no development potential as you move away from there.
But as the mayor said, is there anybody else that can benefit from that?
No.
There is another property owner that's adjacent to this that we usually contact them whether they wish to have it vacated or have any objection to have it vacated before we introduce the vacation ordinance. And my understanding is it to comply with just land area for municipal zoning, or is it Pinelands?
Both. Well, if they don't comply with it with the Pinelands, then they require it.
But he would be able to rebuild under municipal zoning.
Correct.
That's not an issue. He doesn't need the additional land to rebuild the house.
No, because of the non-conforming issue, it's an existing non-conforming in that issue. But because he's non-conforming lot area, it's a requirement of Pinelands to build an upgraded septic system. But he's still deficient in lot area from zoning.
And my understanding is it's a destroyed building on the property.
We allow both adjoining property owners to have an opportunity to look at the land for sale.
Yeah, these are, I don't know if we're taking both of these at the same time, but the street vacation would have to go first. And then there would have to be, frankly, a bidding situation between the 2 property owners if you sold the land.
That would be the fair way to go.
Yes, and it would have to be incorporated into an adjacent lot and not further subdivided.
For those 2 sections, you'd actually have to do them separately because the second property owner is only adjacent to one of the groups of township lots, not the second group. Mr. Clayton surrounds the one section of lots entirely, so there is no other adjacent property owner.
And that's fine. The other one, too.
But the other one would have
So it would have to be 2 sales.
2 sales, correct.
When there's adjacent property owners, and there may be an appraisal needed for both of them, that's a set minimum values for the, but they'll have to be auctioned off or sold in 2 parcels. One could be sold at the appraised value to the only adjacent owner, which is the applicant, but the other would have to go to the highest bidder. And they would all be, when we've done this before, we don't want to create any more buildable lots, so the approach of the Township Committee has been, look, we'll let you make your lot bigger, but we're not going to give you the ability to have more single-family homes, because it's not a benefit to the township. It increases the tax liability because of children and whatnot.
So right now, we could build one single family home, one without.
That's what my question was directed. I've not done the zoning analysis or the Pinelands analysis, but my understanding is, from what Paul said, that they are single-family lots that would probably get the required approvals for undersized lots, and he's trying to get extra land, so...
Pinelands, because the home was destroyed more than 5 years ago, Pinelands may give him difficulty in reconstructing it. But under township zoning, since the foundation still remains, he could rebuild in that footprint of the existing foundation.
So in other words, that the footprint of this building, you would have to get, I mean, he'd probably get township approval to do that. But he still has to go, even if the land goes through and the land sold to him, he would still have to go to the finance, correct? Correct. So that's good finance. So we're not the final stop no matter what.
Correct.
So Dan, what process then, if the Township Committee were so inclined to move forward, obviously we have a situation where there are two contiguous property owners, so that's one scenario. There's another side of the property where Mr. Clayton would be the only one that has our land, or the township's land.
3 transactions.
And then also the vacation of the...
Yeah, but I would reverse the order.
Go ahead.
Because the street vacation then takes the land and the street and gives it half to one owner on one side and half to the owner on the other side, because that's the underlying ownership of the street, okay? Subject to, obviously, the right of the township over the road. So you would do that first, and then you would go through 2 ordinances to sell undersized parcels to the adjacent owners, not for development, but just for incorporation into their existing property.
Now, would we do the ordinance before we approach
3 ordinances.
3 ordinances?
I might be able to combine the land sale into one, but it would have to be bifurcated. It'd have to be 2 different sections, because one goes to the adjacent owner with no bid at an appraised value that we agree to the number, and the other has to be bid between the 2 adjacent owners, because they have the right to show up and bid on it with a minimum bid price.
In addition, Mr. Young, is it going to be, we're not going to be able to do an ordinance, correct?
We wouldn't do the land sale. You shouldn't do the land sale until after you vacate the street.
But I'm talking about when the government's going to change it.
Oh, that's also going to happen next year.
So we actually have a moot point here. We're sitting here with
Well, you can direct us to go forward. You may want to, you're right, because when it comes on the agenda, there will be 2 new people up there, and they may say, well, I don't agree.
Right.
So that's a reasonable point. But the actual decision is going to happen next year. It's just whether or not we should...
So I have a little bit of a hard time offering my support to giving you direction to go ahead and direction in doing that, but I don't want to encumber another committee up here. That might not be the direction. So maybe our whole outlook should be first meeting in January to take this up.
That's, and that is entirely reasonable. If the rest of the committee wants to do that, that's okay too.
That's fine with me.
That's not really.
So we could officially table it and then re-agendize it?
Just table the requests, and we'll address it when the new committee reconvenes. That, I guess it would be the first works meeting in January beyond reorganization.
Second Monday in January?
Basically, what that'll do is it'll save the office administration and some of my time, so that if the new committee doesn't want to go forward, we haven't spent any time on it.
Okay.
The decision is actually next year. It's not happening this year.
No matter what, so I mean, this doesn't, it's probably...
Understand.
Okay, so we will re-agendize that for that first meeting in January. I guess all 3 items, actually.
The first meeting after reorganization.
Right. We do have some other requests here, though, for raffles and bingo, so...
Okay, items number 9 and 10 will be
They'll be included
re-agendized for
with-
the
right.
first regular meeting in January. Item number 11, Country Shore Women's Club requests to hold a raffle, number 418, and bingo, number 419, at the Upper Township Community Center on February 8th, 2014.
I move we allow them to have it.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 12, Ocean City Crew Boosters request to hold bingo number 420 at the Upper Township Community Center on various dates beginning January 18th, 2014 through March 22nd, 2014.
Move we allow it.
Second.
Let's call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated in full in the minutes of this meeting.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
We have two municipal department reports, Municipal Court, Finance Office. They are available tomorrow morning at the clerk's office upon request, but I'll make a motion that we accept those two reports.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Before I open up the public comment, I negated to thank the Uptown Singers and the Ocean City Upper Township Rotary Club for this evening. We had the tree lighting ceremony, and it was a real good time to get into the start of the, I guess, holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's coming. So it's always something that I know that I enjoy taking part in, and I know that it's really a good opportunity for our youths that do a great job as they were out there singing their lungs out. They did a great job. So at this time, let's open it up. Would anyone like to address, well, I'm sorry, what? Would you like to address us?
Thank you.
And then we'll open up for public comment.
Good evening. Sergeant Babcock from Woodbine Barracks and Station Commander. Came back, I was here in September, completing a little over 2 months later, 2.5 months. And so now I'm getting to know most everybody from our station area. See, I'm the police chief for this area, that's what I'm down there. And I'm going to Dennis Township, to Woodbine, to hear, this is my second time here, and I come to these meetings. I want you to run down all the time like the same information. But when I was here in September, I took our stats from the month of August, which is your peak months, June, July, and August. Within this area, I believe we have 18 campgrounds. Altogether, we have probably about 28. And that brings a lot of our workload. And I did a report that I sent up to Trenton. I tried to explain that for our request for manpower. Now, in September, we had 151 crimes within the whole station area. Approximately 48 took place here in this township. Now we're down to 100, and you have 24 here. So down like 50%. And that's that's eliminating surveying October's workload that we had. So I'm sure you can see that gradual decrease in that in December, January, February, March, come April, as the season gets warmer, with more traffic there going to the shore communities, people coming down and check on their campgrounds. Some, depending on what kind of campground it is, the nicer one, the more secure, the ones that are warm, you're going to have a more theft in these trailers and these storage areas. So that's what you're going to experience. And again, in December, we're going to have more graduates coming out of State Police Academy. So, and even though the last time I came, they pointed out to me, my commanders pointed out to me, don't talk about staffing, because then sometimes it's printed in the newspaper. I mean, don't think that was about, because it's like, well, you know, say, well, this many guys working. So the people that steal things, that was an opportunity. But our staffing has increased, and actually our time has done that. And even though it was still low, it was still pretty good. So both of us could have been in trouble. I said it, you wrote it. Okay? And I have no offense in that either. But let's see, for the month of October, some of the crimes, point them out here. Some of them are actually of interest. Credit card thefts, you had, and that's a family thing. I noticed we had a lot of juvenile, mother, father, siblings, domestics, where we had to get involved. And usually domestics, usually between spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends. Theft of copper, that's still a problem. That's something that they've experienced. And in the areas where you do have weather, that there's not storage areas, boats, trailers, buildings that are seasonal, air conditioners are good items to take for the copper. Because again, junkyards, because of the economy, they're more like they want to do business, because they make money off of it. So they're going to be a little less questionable of where this merchandise is coming from. And even the community, you assist us as far as report things. Suggest to other people, things you see wrong, anything you see out of your ordinary, report to us. I know today I fielded one call about speeding on Summer.
No, State Road, you want to address
No, this is on Summer. Putting out, we have signboards, depending on the station area does it or using them. Now your thing with 667,
Stagecoach.
you have those suggested speed limit signs out there. To get the speed limit, because it is not, like you said, it's not enforceable. You may run into a problem if there's a collision, and now there's going to be a civil suit. And it's like, well, this was the speed limit. I was doing speed because the county, the state county, they determine what due to population density, the distance between dwellings and the type of road, they're going to determine what the speed is. And we can only enforce what the speed is marked by those, they're engineers. But you can solicit them to lower that speed limit. But the one person I talked to is behind the Seaville Tavern, Seaville Tavern, close to the firehouse. And that is mostly people that live in that neighborhood. Because if you check on the map, it's not a through lane. It's an area that comes, it's an inlet and I think summer. And the woman that called me from that area, she said, the cars just flies. And then I called her back and I said, looking at the map, and I looked at it Friday also. And I said, this is people that live within that neighborhood. So in a sense, that's a responsibility to the community. So what I said with that is, as we could allow more patrols out there. And especially because your schools do let out later than most schools. I think your schools are 3:45 dismissal. So that creates a double problem because then you have school buses, you have more kids out there, and then you have people returning home from work. So you kind of have more volume of people on the road with both pedestrians and vehicles. So that's something that we're going to address. Again, your fire and EMS services, I think your fire and EMS is acceptable for an area. And an area that seems, like when I first came, I was surprised you don't have to pay firemen, like some municipalities have. And I think because of that, you save taxpayers a lot of money with not having to pay firemen, pay services. Because it is a big area in the way, I mean, you're all spread out. And it's a big area. But for the population and the equipment you have, your fire units do a really good job. But other than that, I said numbers are down. Again, that's due to this area being seasonal, campgrounds, and then again, your traffic going to short destinations. Anybody have questions of me?
Nope.
Okay, good.
But appreciate you coming in and giving us an update.
Well, I may not be here in January, but it will be in February, and have Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, same to you.
Everybody else, and grab a phone home now.
Okay, at this time, if anyone would like to address the Township Committee, now's the time to do it. Please come up and state your name and your address. because this is being recorded. Well, it doesn't appear that anybody wants to come up and address the Township Committee this evening. So I again will wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and appreciate you coming out this evening to take part in tonight's meeting. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Newman to make a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move the resolution be incorporated in the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Matter number 1, personnel. Number 2, contract negotiations, State Regional Medical Center. Number 3, contract negotiations, Better Hearing Incorporated. Number 4, contract negotiations, Cayman County Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Incorporated. Number 5, contract negotiations, Marshall Planning Agency. Number 6, contract negotiations, Verizon Blue Cross of Blue Shield, New Jersey. Number 7, contract negotiations, shared service agreement with Mission City for 911 dispatch service. Also include one motion, the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. A, is anticipated the matter discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. B, with respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussion will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent to be made public. And C, with respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality.
Second, would you call the roll?
Before you do that, I want to make sure that, I think that was a mistake, the Cape May County Council on Alcoholism. I think that should be the Emergency Communications Network, Emergency Notification Services.
Okay, is that code red, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll amend my motion to include number 4 as contract negotiations with, Mr. Young.
And we do have, and there was one other, there's a safety and security issue item, so we want to add that too. They just weren't picked up in the resolution. It's computer hardware and software issues for security purposes.
Yes.
Okay, also amended to do that.
Okay. Good. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.